All right, everybody. All right, everybody. We got a special guest, today, special guest. This is an NBA legend, a champion, Atlanta legend. First of all, Coach, how do you want me to refer to you? Is it Coach? Is it Mr. Terry? Is it JT? Is it J? How do you want me to refer to you, Coach?
Hey, you know what? It doesn't even matter. I've been, engaged with all different walks of life. JT, Jet, Coach Terry, all those are part of me. So whatever you like.
All right, Coach. All right, Coach. I think I'm gonna just roll with Coach.
All
Hold
right,
on.
all
Give me
right.
a
That
second here. Give
sounds
me a
good.
second here.
Yes,
Okay. All
sir.
right. All right, Coach. I guess so. Just going back, this is Peachtree Hoops, for the Atlanta Hawks and stuff like that. So going back to your draft day, going to Atlanta, what was kind of all the emotions going through your mind, and how was it as a rookie first getting to the city of Atlanta?
It's funny. Last night they just had the NFL draft, and you're watching all the families and the young men that are being drafted, and you still get the same type of goosebumps, from when I was drafted almost about 30 years ago. Uh, it's an emotional night. You have all your family, all your friends who have supported you along your journey there with you. And for me, it was my dream became a reality. And I'll never forget, I can remember the suit I wore. I just remember, every single moment, even to up to the time where we're in the green room. Number one's being called, 2, 3, 4, 5. They call number 9. I think I'm going to Phoenix. They draft Sean Marion. I end up getting drafted to Atlanta, number 10. So, all that, all the way to shaking, rest in peace, David Stern, shaking his hand, walking up on stage, putting that Atlanta Hawk hat on. One of the proudest days of my life.
And how was it for you? You kind of mentioned it there of being passed up by your hometown team, but then going to Atlanta. Like, how long did it take for you to kind of shake that? I guess, I mean, if there was any type of disappointment from not getting picked up from your hometown team.
Yeah, no disappointment whatsoever. I mean, for me, a kid from the inner city of Seattle, Washington, growing up in the central area, raised by a single parent, one of 10. I mean, my dreams had came true. Just being there at the draft, thinking my name was going to be called, because when I went to college as a freshman, my dreams and aspirations was just to play professionally. Not NBA, maybe overseas or something. But as my years went, we won a national championship in '97, and then, I continued to get better. And then '99, being the player of the year, obviously it started to become more realistic that I would, become an NBA player. And so, I wasn't disappointed at all. I mean, just to be there with the other guys and then my name be called, just a tremendous honor.
And I guess skipping forward a little bit now, was there any disappointment in '08 when Seattle moved to OKC and you didn't get a
Oh, yeah.
chance to play for Seattle?
Oh, yeah. Growing up again in Seattle and being a part of the Seattle hoop scene, and, the Sonics had a big part of raising our community. My first PE teacher was Seattle Sonic legend, Slick Watts. So, the Seattle Sonics were a huge part of our community. Downtown Freddie Brown, growing up with his kids in the inner city. Xavier McDaniel, Deadlift Shrimp, all those guys used to train at the same sports pro club we used to train at. And, so when we lost the team, it was like you lost a part of you. Because, again, we grew up on the Sonics. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, all those guys were iconic figures in our lives. And they helped raise us. Like any kid that grew up in Seattle and that aspired to be something greater than himself, you looked up to Gary Payton and Sean Kemp growing up.
And now wrapping up on Seattle and stuff. It is Isaiah Thomas's birthday as we're recording this. Where do you rank you guys? Because I know Seattle Hoopers. They always like we the top dogs. We're the top dogs. Where do you rank Seattle amongst all the cities?
Man, see, Seattle's definitely up there. I mean, if you look at Chicago, New York, LA, all those big cities, Seattle's like a hidden gem in the Pacific Northwest. But, man, I don't even want to start to name the guys that have come out of there, since I came out. But the Godfathers, Doug Christie, he kind of started it off. You got Deadlift, James Edwards. Then then you go into my era with myself, Jamal Crawford, Brandon Roy, Martell Webster. I mean, the list goes on and on. Nate Robinson, Isaiah Thomas, Avery Bradley, like Spencer Hawes, like the names, it just keeps going. And I'm not going to remember every single name, but, you know, it's a true brotherhood, you know, of Seattle guys that came out of there and made it. And I'm going to say the Northwest as well, because Tacoma, Seattle is like a 20-mile radius. And the guys from there, you know, are a part of our tradition and our heritage in Seattle. So, you know, I put us up there with, you know, some of those other good cities, LA, Chicago. I mean, we won't get near the recognition, but I tell you what, you put us out there on the court and we definitely going to hold our own.
I think the real hoopers know, Coach. The real hoopers know Seattle. But all right, now moving back to Atlanta, though. You know, going down to Atlanta as a rookie, just how was the city for you? I know DeMar Johnson, he talked about going on Georgia State's campus and everything like that after practice. You know, how was that for you?
Man, Black Hollywood, man. My time coming up through there, I think it just phased out from Freaknik, had just phased out, and it started a new culture of the hip-hop era in Atlanta where, you know, you had guys like Young Jeezy, Jermaine Dupri, you know, all those guys, Outkast, T.I., Ludacris, you know, 2 Chainz, all those guys would come and support the Hawks, the Falcons, the Braves. And, you know, for me, coming from Seattle, like we never seen, like our biggest star we seen around the hood was like Sir Mix-a-Lot, you know, and to see that, those type of entertainers and to be able to sit in a section at a nightclub with them and, you know, share stories and experiences and then go to like picnics on the weekend, barbecues, and to see all those guys and interact with them. I mean, that was like a dream come true in itself. I mean, it really was a fairy tale, to quite be honest with you. But I can honestly say I was a part of that scene, that culture. You know, Buckhead was booming at the time. That's where all the nightclubs were. You know, Puff Daddy would come in the city. He'll shut the city down on a weekend. You know, it was just amazing. Allen Iverson would do a game in the summertime. I did a game with the United Negro College Fund 2 summers in a row. You know, when I'd have all my NBA friends come out with the entertainers. And, I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, you even had boxers. Roy Jones Jr. had a home there. Evander Holyfield had a home at that time in Atlanta where he'd do a 4th of July celebration. Like, I mean, my stories run deep, man, about the streets in Atlanta. And to be a part of that scene in that particular era, the early 2000s, I mean, it was dope. Dope era for sure.
And you talk about the early 2000s in that scene, you know, you think about kind of the sweatsuits, the headbands, everything like that. And you are the face of the Atlanta Hawks with the headbands back then. Like, you were that guy, like, welcome to Atlanta came out that time. And, you know, you guys hosted the All-Star game. You were one of the faces of the city, of the franchise around that time. Just, you know, I guess, how was that with the headband and the styling and everything like that?
Oh, the headband, man, that was a part of our culture back in the day. I remember, you know, Nelly came through. He rocked his headband. And then you had even Mike Vick, who was the star of Atlanta right there with the Falcons. He had his headband. I mean, we're wearing that at the nightclub. We're out in the headbands. We got the velour sweatsuits. I mean, you know, the culture was crazy then. Now, I hope they don't ever bring those velour sweatsuits back and the headbands, but it was a part of who we were, and it was a part of our culture. You know, the 3X white tees. I mean, I looked at a picture the other day. I weigh 180 pounds. I don't know how I ever fit in a 3X T-shirt and size 38 jeans. Man, no, that was crazy. But that's just a part of, you know, the culture and growing up.
But, you know, thinking about it, like, I don't know if you realize your impact on it, but, like, it was for years and years, like a decade after Migos had a song, Jumping Out the Gym. And, you know, on one of the verses is shooting jump shots like Kyle Korver, Brent Berry, Jason Terry. And, you know, like it's because, like, those kids were, like, they were kids, you know, they were kids around the time that you were that guy. When you think about kind of that everlasting impact that you have on the city, just how does that make you feel?
Man, it definitely makes you have a good feeling, and to know that you had a positive influence on certain generations. And like you said, Migos was in high school. I believe they were at can't remember what high school they were at, but you know, they were in Atlanta at the time, and like you said, they were just young kids. And to watch us and understand that we had an influence on them at that particular point in time is a tremendous honor for sure.
Right. Okay. All right. And now moving into the next generation of Atlanta point guards and guards, period. You got two of your own, Chennedy Carter and Aari McDonald.
Yes. Yep.
Coach, just I guess starting off with Chennedy Carter first. Just
Yeah.
how's your relationship been with her growing up?
You know what, Chennedy Carter, I met her when she was in sixth grade, and my AAU team was playing against hers at the time. And, something just drew me to her. Probably was the cornrows and then the swag in which she played her game. Like, we were seventh grade, she was sixth, but she was holding her own against the big girls. And, man, she looked like Allen Iverson out there. The way she played, she wore an arm sleeve, like she had a deadly crossover. And then just to be a part of her life and watch her growth and development over the years, she's just turned into a tremendous, phenomenal young lady, not only on the court but off the court. She does things still with my program to give back and to help out with the Lady Jets program that we have still going in Dallas. And then to watch her in the WNBA, the impact that she had right away as a rookie last year, making some noise. The future's so bright for her. I think she's a future Hall of Famer in the WNBA, and she'll probably be a world champion as well. Now that they've had, like you spoke about, the addition of Aari McDonald, like they have one of the best backcourts in the league, hands down. It's not even close. And we'll get to see them here on display here in a couple of weeks. I hope I can make it to their first game. I know I'm scheduled to be in town for a tournament with my girls, and hopefully I'll be there at the game. At Phillips Arena. It'll be a dream come true. But Aari McDonald is phenomenal. Like, she plays both ends of the floor. She's going to pick you up full court. She is a flat-out dog on the court. She gets after it. And you already know she's deadly from long range with the three ball. So just going to love to watch those two, every game they play this year.
And I guess, kind of going back to our conversation of you and your cultural impact on the city, when you talk about Chennedy and her swagger, wearing the headband, the leg sleeve, and the way she plays, the city didn't really, they didn't get to see it in person last year because, they were in a bubble down there in Florida. So, how do you think she can kind of get intertwined with the city and, kind of have her impact on the city?
I think she's going to be intertwined right along with kind of the era that I came into it. The hip-hop scene, the culture of which Atlanta has right now, it's going to be big. And I think they're going to put their arms around the Atlanta Dream now that it's under new ownership, new management. I mean, it's really a new era. Like, women's basketball is going to make a statement, for years to come. But I can see the Atlanta Dream being one of those teams that crosses over into, the hip-hop culture and being accepted along with, just like my era, like when I came in. There's going to be entertainers at the Atlanta Dream game sitting courtside. I know 2 Chainz has brought his daughter to games, and, other celebrities are going to bring their kids to games just to watch, to see, and be a part of it. One, it's entertaining, but it's also competitive. Like, they got a good team. They're going to put out a good team, and you'll be proud to say, like, the Atlanta Dream is part of the Atlanta community for sure.
And right, Coach, when did you start to get, interested in women's basketball and the women's game?
I was always a huge fan of the sport and the game because growing up in Seattle, I went to Franklin High School. Our biggest star was one of Seattle's own, Rhonda Smith. She's one of the greatest basketball players to ever come out of Seattle. She went to the WNBA, played for the University of Washington. And so I got to kind of get accustomed to the women's game then. And then, like, when I got to Dallas, I have 5 daughters, and my oldest daughter played AAU basketball, so I started my own program. And so for every offseason for 15 years in the league to present day today, I spend my time in the offseason, training, coaching AAU girls basketball. So that's how I became really accustomed to the game and knowing, like, these women can hoop too. It's not just the men. These women really got game for sure.
You become a real girl dad, you would say.
100%. Also, obviously, rest in peace, Kobe. What he was doing on the girls scene, growing the game for women, obviously himself and Gigi, being a part of what he started with the Mamba Academy. We went down last year. Unfortunately, he passed on the day we were supposed to play his team. And so, just being a part of that, trying to carry on his legacy, with women basketball and watch it continue to grow is definitely a mission and purpose I have in my life now.
I'm sorry to hear that, Coach. I'm sorry to hear that, Coach.
Yes, sir.
As far as, you and just your general passion of coaching, when did that start? Did it start when you started coaching your daughter, or was it during your playing days?
Yeah, I think me being a coach probably led to my relationship once I got traded from Atlanta and went to Dallas. And Avery Johnson became our coach in the end of year one of my first year being there. Just going back, remembering the many conversations he and I shared, at breakfast, sometimes, at dinners, all the many film sessions, him teaching me actually the game. Like when I got drafted to Atlanta, I was just hooping. I had a great work ethic. I knew how to play, but I really didn't learn the game and become a student and teacher of the game until I learned from, Avery Johnson. His knowledge, his wisdom, him being a former champion, his journey coming up, out of a black college to being, a world champion point guard with the San Antonio Spurs. Like he gave me so much knowledge on the position and how to handle myself, how to be a father, how to be a mentor. Like all those life lessons came from Avery, and that kind of sparked my interest of becoming a coach. At the college level and, possibly down the road at the NBA level.
Right, Coach, right. And, this past season with Arizona at your alma mater, just how was that experience? And, how has it been? You're coming back next year. So, how is it over there?
Oh, it's been great. One thing about it is when you walk the halls that you walked 30 years ago and you can look up on the wall and you see your jersey hanging up in the rafters, that's all the motivation you need. And then you see the next crop of guys coming in, the new recruits or the guys that are currently on the team, and they look at you for motivation, for inspiration. It's a dream come true. Being able to teach, develop, mentor, and help these young men accomplish something in their lives that I know I've achieved and they aspire to be, is tremendous for me. Not only is it my mission, it's my purpose. I always say my purpose is people. My passion is people, and my purpose is to inspire the world. So I'm able to do that here on campus at my alma mater. And again, it's just a blessing to be able to do so.
Coach, you still buy the dozen chicken tenders before every game you go out there and coach? Do you still do that, Coach?
You know what? I've had to change my diet over the years, but that was one of the many superstitions that I had growing up. You know what? Those chicken fingers, some form of chicken the night before every game, the day of the game. I mean, it was a great thing. But if I did that now, I'm telling you, this 180 would be 220, 225. And my knees can't hold that kind of weight.
Well, all right, Coach. All right. Is there anything else? But before we wrap up, I don't want to hold you too long. Is there anything else you'd like to tell Atlanta or anybody like that?
Yeah. No, Atlanta, that's the city, man. It'll always be home. I just remember the ATLians, hot Atlanta. I'll always be a part of the history and tradition of Atlanta. That gave me my birthplace in the NBA. So I'm forever indebted to the city for welcoming me in and making me one of its own.
All right, Coach. I appreciate you so much for your time today. Take care and have a good day.
Appreciate you. Blessings.